Okay, so in the last video you'll see that we've made the L bracket, so well done for that. Down in the bottom left now, let's create a new part. So, plus, create part studio. You can see that it's opened up a new tab down at the bottom and it's loaded the working area. So let's right click and rename. Let's call this Arm. And let's just have a look at what we're drawing. So this orthographic drawing may look complicated because it's got all of the dimensions on, but what you should do is, well, first of all, you could either use this 3D representation of it to try and work out what it is, or just try and pick out the bold lines. So basically it's just one narrow section of aluminium with a couple of holes in it and this section taken out here. So what I'm going to do, just to start off with, we're going to create a complete rectangle and we're going to extrude it. So we've got a piece of aluminium. So let's pick up the two key dimensions. We got 215 in width, 12 in height, and the third dimension, so 3D, is the depth, which is 3 mil. So let's just run through it. We've got 215 width, and it's quite handy to write down on a piece of paper as I'm doing at the moment. 215 width, 12 height, and 3 depth. So let's go ahead and create that as a rectangle. So I'm going to start off by drawing on my front plane and view from front. Then I go into sketch mode with that plane selected, and I can start off, tell you what, let's draw a center point rectangle. So that allows me in one click to make a rectangle. Again, don't worry too much about the dimensions because we're going to come back and add dimensions using the dimension tool. So using the piece of paper that I've just jotted the dimensions down on, 215, a height of 12, enter, and green tick. So let's go ahead and view that in isometric mode and extrude it straight away. So select the sketch that I want to extrude and the depth. Get into the habit of putting it as symmetrical where applicable, and the depth is 3 millimeters. Okay, so we've got what you would start off with to make the arm, just a piece of aluminium, okay, a piece of extruded aluminium, as you can see there. So let's go back in the drawing and let's combat each feature. Sorry, wrong one. Here. So this little feature here, this little cut. Now instead of doing it as a cut, I'm going to go back and edit the drawing for this. So let's go back in and edit, view from the front. And we've got, so it's 20 millimeters across. We've got a line coming down there that's 20 millimeters from that edge. And it comes down, so we've got 7. Okay, bear with me on this now. So we've got 12 millimeters, 7 millimeters. So if I kind of did this as a cutout, I've got 5 millimeters down and 20 millimeters across. So 5 millimeters down, 20 mil across. So let's create a line that comes 5 millimeters down. Don't worry too much. Don't allow it to snap, okay? So you can see there, snapping it will automatically give it dimension. I'd rather you give it a random dimension and come across. Right click to escape line. Okay, so let's give that the dimensions that it needed. So I said that that came down 5 millimeters. And that was 20 millimeters. Okay, now I need to trim these two lines. So if you've used a piece of software called 2D Design in school, it's quite similar. That will now allow me to trim and trim. Press green tick, and that will now update the extrusion. So you could have done that as a cut, but I've used its sketch to basically do as many features in one as I possibly can. So let's go back to the drawing and see what we can work on next. So we've got a couple of holes here that look pretty similar. Okay, these are radius 2, we've got a radius 3 hole, and we've got a radius 2 hole. So I'm just going to create, first of all, 4 circles. And again, so slightly different way of doing things. I'm going to go back again to my sketch. Because it's just one complete extrusion, you can do it as one drawing. Okay, so what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4 circles. So I'm not going to draw them too big, and I'm not going to allow them to snap because I don't know if they're in the center. Oh, actually, these 3 are in the center. So we'll snap these 3. I'll show you what I mean by snap in a moment. And then this one, we'll leave that one. Okay, so I've got 3 circles that are snapped to the center. So as I bring it down, because I used this line first of all, I can snap it to that line. If you didn't create it in this exact position, then you can always dimension this from there to there and enter in the half of the dimension of that drawing there. Okay, so bear with me. So next circle, don't worry too much about the sizes because we're going to come back and do the accurate sizes there. And then the 4th circle, I'm just going to draw a circle there. Now that 20 millimeters is in my way, so I'm just going to click on that and drag. Whoops. Go. So I need to enter in the appropriate dimensions for these now. So let's just check what the dimensions are. Radius 2, radius 2, radius 3, radius 2. So we've got 2 2s, a 3 and a 2. So let's give these, click on the outer part of the circle. If you make a mistake, just right click and escape. So just take your time, maybe zoom in a little bit to make it a bit easier to select. Click on the outer part of the circle, click, change that to 3, I press enter. Outer part, 3, I press enter. Let's just check these dimensions. I think I might have, all right, 2, 2 and 3, sorry. So any little mistake that I make is quite useful because it might be a mistake that you guys make. So that's all I've got to do is double click on the dimension and I can change these 2. So double click, 2, and then the one in the center was a 3. So I'm just zooming out using the center mouse wheel and set that to a 2 and enter. So let's go back. Before I green tick this now, let's just go back and check what dimensions I'm missing. So I'm zooming out there. That's not in the center of the page. So if I double click on the front, that puts it back to the center. Okay. So let's have a look at this drawing. So we've got these. Let's concentrate on these dimensions. So we've got the first circle 10 mil from the edge. We've got the second circle 40 mil from the edge. We've got the middle circle 90 mil from the edge. So let's do these first, 10, 40 and 90. Again, maybe write these down on paper if you've got a memory like myself. 10. Make sure that it snaps into the center. The dimension lines are straight up. 10. 40. And 90. Let's go back and we've got this circle. So you could dimension it from this back edge, but we'll just do it as this drawing's done it. Okay. So 10 mil from the back, from the front, sorry. And enter. Okay, and I think we've got everything. So we'll just check, okay, because when we, oh, I haven't centered this circle here. Okay, so that is a dimension of 7. So this is a really good little exercise now. So if I click on the center of that circle to there, that should be 3.5 to put that in the center of that dimension there, because that's 7. So the center is 3.5. Green tick. And that has updated everything according to the drawing. Okay, so if I just go back and take a look at this, right, I've just spotted a little mistake. So in the drawing, the radius has been set to 3. So again, I've spotted the mistake. We can go back and do an edit. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So because it's a radius of 3, these holes should be a diameter of 6 and 4. So let's go back in and edit again. So edit. So you can see this symbol that represents diameter, and I've mistakenly read the drawing. So let's go back, double click. So I just need to double these. So that should be a 4. That should be a 4. Now as I resize these, I don't need to change these dimensions because it's the center of the circle. Okay, so let's just double click. 6. Thought the holes looked a little bit small. And let's zoom in so I can select this one. That should be set to 4. Okay, so look, even I don't get it absolutely correct the first time, but we can always go back and do these little edits to change things if things don't look right. And the important thing is, if I've dimensioned them correctly and I've drawn them correctly without them snapping unnecessarily, it allows me to make those changes. So let's have a look now and view it in isometric. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I've got my 4 holes, I've got my little section cut out there, so it's as that is drawn there. Okay, so that's your second part.